think that works. You guys will have to let me know if you can hear me, because I'm not sure if this is working properly. Let's see. We are. Can you hear me? Okay, that's cool. Right. So many people in chat already. Got Patmos, Sweet Silent Shadow, Steel Navarre, Crazy Chewy, Trouble, obviously, Shuriel. Thank you all for being here, and Kevbot, obviously, the amazing Kevbot. Well, welcome to the studio. This is very different to what I am used to, because normally I only go live on Instagram, and that is quite different. So yeah, let's hope this all works. I'm not allowed to juggle my computer because my webcam is really finicky. I don't think it's the webcam's fault, I think it is my computer's fault. The USB ports on my laptop are loose, to say the least. So they have a very faulty connection. And if I juggle my laptop, my webcam just disappears from my laptop's existence. So that's always fun. Today I am going to be doing some sculpting. I have a lot of models that need manes and tails, mostly stable mates today. Started to work on some of these little guys last night, and today I'm going to finish them off. Working while I do housework. That's okay, Quirky. You enjoy doing your housework. It's lovely to see you. This is the other thing I'll be working on today. This is going to be a carousel horse, which I started work on 2 years ago and haven't worked on since. So I'm going to see if I can get some legs on this thing today. And obviously this while I play out. Some of you may recognize this as Morse's tail. So yes, we're going to try and get a bit of work done on a bunch of projects today. So let's get started. I'm going to be using 2-part epoxy sculpt. This is the modeling compound that I always use. Unfortunately, for some remote reason, the hardening compound for this tends to, well, it does this. It starts going really hard and yellow on top, and I can't use that. It's unusable. So I have to dig all of that out in order to get to the stuff that is usable underneath, which is really annoying because the other half of the compound does not do that. So I'm going to have more of one compound to use than the other, which is slightly annoying. The only thing I can sculpt out of is my potato. I mean, to be fair, I do that too. The difficult thing with working with epoxy is trying to make sure that the amounts are exactly the same. I struggle with that a lot. I know some people actually get scales and weigh the amounts that they're using, but I can't be bothered, so I just eyeball it. And now I still think I need a little bit more of this one. Which I wasn't always so good at doing. I have had instances in the past where the epoxy ended up not curing because I didn't mix it evenly enough, but I've definitely sort of gotten it down to a bit of an art over the last year or so, so that's always good. I think Noah's moved in next door. Yeah, it's been tipping it down here today as well. It lightened up a little bit in the evening since like 5 o'clock onwards, but it's still really overcast. In contrast to yesterday, it was absolutely gorgeous yesterday. It was like 17 degrees. We were having tea in the garden, but today it's just, yeah, puddles everywhere. I don't like rain. Never liked rain. Oh, I know. Why does rain always have to show up on holidays? Like, we had it on Christmas last year. It's always the thing with Christmas that you have songs like I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas playing in shops, and it's like, stop being delusional, this is the UK. You'd be lucky to get a brown Christmas. Hey, Cooper! Welcome, welcome. How are you today? Alright, that should be mixed. Looks mostly the same colour, so let's choose Victim to start with. You have 4 legs, you can stand upright, I promise you. Head is up, and feet still down. That's good to hear, Cooper. I'm giving this model a longer mane. I don't know if you can see here. It originally had a roached mane, which means it's extremely short. I do not like short manes on models. He's also missing an ear, which you've probably noticed, but he will be getting a new one. Promise you that. Hey, Grace! Welcome, welcome. Great to see you. How are you this evening? Little one all busy watching his cartoons. Good, we've been out to the butterfly house today. Yes, indeed. Oh, that's lovely. Has it been tipping it down your end too? It's been absolutely mucky here today. But I mean, if it was raining, then the butterfly house is a great place to be. Starting off with some clay snakes, and then I'm going to use my silicone tool and some water to blend it. This is like my ultimate favourite silicone tool. I've said it before and I'll say it again, this thing is absolutely amazing. Like 5 minutes of rain already? Beautiful. Lucky you! Lucky you. I swear the rest of the UK has just been swamped. Hey Robert, welcome. How have you been today? Also, I apologise if you can hear my heater switching on and off in the background. I was hoping I wouldn't have to have it on today, but the weather gods have not been that kind. Putting in some smaller details using a metal tool. Metal tools are much better than silicone for putting in deeper markings. My silicone tool is good for pushing clay around, but this one is definitely better for creating individual hair strokes. I haven't done sculpting in such a small scale in a very long time. I did some stablemate mains a few years ago now, when I first started collecting them, but I did not have the skills back then to really make them look very good, so I put them on the back burner until my sculpting skills had somewhat improved. Ouch! Yeah, I learnt to ride when I was 7, and I had some very interesting experiences on horseback. One of my first lessons was on April Fool's Day. If that doesn't tell you that there were going to be problems right from the offset, I don't know what will. But my instructor would not stop cracking jokes the whole time he was teaching me to ride. And the problem with that was that he laughed so loud at his own jokes that my horse ended up bolting because of it and threw me off, and I got dragged all the way around the arena by the reins. I didn't have to get dragged by the reins, I was just too stupid to actually let go. After all that, he didn't even bother asking if I was okay or calling an ambulance. He just told me not to carry off his arena sand in my ears, which was delightful of him. In case you're interested, yes, I do still ride horses. Because I didn't learn that time, apparently. It, it could be my end. I'm not entirely sure. I'm located in the UK, Robert. I'm working on a stablemate, by stablemate. This one, I believe, is a cutting horse. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely up on stablemate models. I could tell you more about classics and traditionals than I could about these little guys. I was bidding on an auction for a partly cloudy earlier, and someone beat me by literally like £2. I was so mad. Yeah, they are very small. I'm not even sure how many of them I have. I have a lot. I bought a whole bunch of them in a body lot for customizing, and I've just never touched them again for ages. They're not a size I typically work in, but normally I would work in Briar Classics or Traditionals, and obviously the Shy Can Collecte scales. But these other guys have been sitting on my shelf staring at me judgmentally for long enough, so. Spent all day sick on the couch, couldn't even think. Well, that doesn't sound good. Glad you're feeling better now, though. I'm gonna pull that one there for now. Just Did you know that Sweden has a horse breed called North Swedish, reminiscent of the Ardennais horse, but somewhat smaller? I did not know that. I know about the Ardennais. I plan to do a custom of one of those at some point. I did not know about the other one though. I hate having to rely on others for help. If I want help, don't worry, I won't ask. Yeah, I can relate to that. Also, sorry if I keep randomly going quiet. It's because I get engrossed in my work and completely forget that I have a camera. These showing horses and pit ponies down the lanes. Yeah, I've read a few books about pit ponies. I'm glad that that's not a thing anymore today. I think some of the things that humans have used animals for over the years is quite atrocious sometimes, to be honest. Never trust the hobbits. I always wanted to live in a hobbit hole. It looks extremely cozy. And I mean, in all honesty, I would absolutely fit in one, so... Oh, I got another body to make a centaur with. The human brute is bigger than... That's amazing, Grace! Oh, I can't wait to see progress updates on that one. Like, you'll have to show me that on Instagram when I get off this, because I absolutely want to see that. Right, let's get some legs. Oh, just destroy my workbench, shall we? That'll do everybody favours. Get some leg bases going on this guy. For down to the proof. Oh, I'll send an update to my content. Yes, please, I would love to see that. Centaur with a hobbit as the body. Not gonna lie, that would be amazing. This is a project that I've had in the works for a long time now. One of my special interests that not many people know about is carousel horses. Well, really anything that's like old-time fairground, I guess. But carousel horses have a special place in my heart. The artistry and workmanship that went into them just blows me away every time. Gamer Mama, welcome! How are you today? Great to see you here. Are you going to do some dinosaur sculptures someday? I am. I'm planning on doing some resculpts. There's a couple of Collecte and I don't think they're Schleich dinosaurs. I think there might be Mojo dinosaurs. I'm not entirely sure, but I've seen some models online that I want to get to resculpt at some point. I hold a bit of disdain for a lot of toy dinosaurs only because they are so not just unrealistic, but also like scientifically inaccurate. They're still being made based on views of dinosaurs from like 40 years ago, which like get with the times, toy companies, come on. But I also want to make one of my own. I'm planning on making a made-to-move Parasaurolophus sometime this year, because Grace showed me some posable mammoths that's posable dinosaurs too. Like, I absolutely want a posable Parasaurolophus. So I'm just going to make my own because they're easy to make in a clay sculpture, while like hinge joints aren't so much. You kind of need either epoxy resin or like plastic to make hinge joints. And because I work mainly in epoxy clay, that wouldn't really be plausible. So I'm going to do some test runs of different joints and stuff, and then sort of see where I'm going from there. Doug, welcome. How are you? Maybe you could do life-size T-Rex sculpture for your 50k sub celebration. Don't tempt me, Patmos, because I would absolutely do that. Do not underestimate me. Hello, Deb. Hey, lovely to see you. Thank you. How are you today? Life-size T-Rex would be awesome. Whether or not the neighbours would share your opinion on that, however, remains open to debate. I mean, to be fair, it probably wouldn't surprise them that much because my dear, sweet, long-suffering neighbours have already witnessed me dissecting dead squirrels on the lawn, so a life-size T-Rex probably wouldn't even be that surprising, to be entirely honest. What's to do today? I won't be able to chat the whole stream, but I'll definitely leave it playing. Thank you, Herido. It's lovely to see you. Yeah, don't let me stop you getting on. Obviously, household chores and stuff always comes before live streams. Yeah, it probably would. I don't think it would even work in modelling clay. I think that would call for some more industrial strength materials than modelling clay. More like, I don't know, fiberglass, perhaps. Am I connected again? Brilliant, Doug. Jessica, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. How are you today? Oh, that's not ending big enough, is it? No worries, Shuriel, no worries. Food always comes first in my book. Like, no competition there. The Brontosaurus. Brontosaurus did not exist, I will have you know, but yes, that would be hilarious. Just imagine like driving down the road and you just see this like massive neck of a brachiosaur just craning over all the houses. That'd be hilarious. I'm doing great, thanks. What are you doing today? Oh, good to hear. Today I am doing some sculpting on a bunch of model horses. I was just putting some manes on the stablemates. Let me just see if I turn my light off. Can you might see the detail a bit better. Um, I've been doing some sculpting on these, and I'm currently working on blocking some legs onto this carousel horse that I'm working on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely to see you. How are you? Can't tell if it's got a wheel or without a wheel, unfortunately. Light in my studio is absolutely terrible because unfortunately I have a window right above where I do my work, but my overhead light doesn't work. I mean, it does work, but unfortunately it flickers very badly and I cannot deal with that, so I only have the small studio lights on, which are behind me. I bought a little lamp that clips onto the windowsill over my workspace, which I have on at the moment. But at the minute I can't even tell if it's making it better or worse, to be entirely honest. But when I'm working on anything that's like brightly coloured or reflective, it just seems to drown it out on the camera. Great time, I don't want to shoot just straight on YouTube. Just click that like and subscribe button. Thank you, Kevin. I'm hoping that I will be able to start making this a weekly or possibly bi-weekly thing, because I've definitely been working on my anxiety doing live streams on YouTube, and I'm getting to the point where I'm actually enjoying it and just hanging out with people and chatting while I work. So don't worry about it, you can rewatch it later and make adjustments if needed. That is very true. That is very true. And also, obviously I'm using YouTube Studio on my laptop, and my laptop has possibly the worst pixels of any device I own, so I can't actually even tell what the picture is like. The webcam that I bought, it said it was HD, but I would have absolutely no idea, because my laptop screen turns everything into patchwork quilts. So thanks, Trouble. Yeah, we do need another paint sesh. Yes, and something else I need to do this evening is get a bit more work done on that Strawberry Rowan for the collab, so that we can actually pick that up again. I do have the model primed now, so I can actually move ahead with that. So we can start doing that again, but we absolutely need to do like some cave horse painting sessions together. Thank you, Parrot Moss. That means so much. It's a little different to my first Instagram lives, where I would just persistently forget that I was even live. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. This thing is going to need a hell of a lot of sanding, I can tell you that much. Stop moving. I glued these legs in originally, but I only used super glue and not epoxy glue. I didn't have any at the time, and this front leg decides it just keeps wanting to wiggle. So now that I'm putting epoxy on, hopefully it'll stop doing that, but I think the pose is starting to take shape a little bit better now. I wanted to go for that like classic outstretched look that most carousel horses have. The head was originally pointing like down. This is an old, I think it was an old Mojo model, but I took the legs off because it had like the most ridiculous short little legs I've ever seen. Here with the red account. Hey, Waco. I do have, however, his hooves that I salvaged, and also his head, which is going to need a lot of work. It has a built-on bridle, which I absolutely hate on models, I'm not even going to lie. But I separated the lower jaw from the head because carousel horses typically have their mouth wide open, and this one had it shut. So I'm going to realign that so while they're separate, I can drill out the tongue channel and the roof of the mouth, and then put in a tongue and some teeth before I reattach it to the head. And then while they're separate, I can also Dremel off the halter. And I'm also going to drill out the eyes, make eye sockets and put in new eyes because they are tiny on this model. And carousel horses typically have like really big wild eyes. So that again doesn't quite match my vision, but we're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. I think over reviews of dreams. Cirrus, welcome. How are you? Everyone who's been streaming kind of talked to a silent chatter to say, "Oh, it didn't suck so much about how I would terrorize your World of Warship streams." You should anyway, Cooper. Honestly, I'd watch them. I know you're live in Discord sometimes, but I forget I have Discord. I have notification turned on for the Patmos posse, and that's literally it. Because otherwise it just keeps sending me notifications all day, and I can't stand that. And Cat knows Spike, of course. Obviously, as you can probably tell, hopefully, I've used a pen to roughly mark out where I want to do tack sculpting on this horse. Because carousel horses obviously tend to have like sculpted saddles and regalia, and obviously I want to do that. As you can see, he has a hole drilled through him ready for his standing pole later, which I believe is over here. That's his pole, so he'll eventually be on it like that as a display piece. Whether or not I'm going to sell him yet, I don't know. I think this might end up being a personal piece. I get very, very attached to pieces that I make, and I hate letting them go. So watching this, I believe I went to the middle or something when any of the arts and crafting school got handed out to babies on the same day as me. I laughed in his school. Don't be ridiculous, Patmos. We all have different skill sets and different purposes in life, and if we all had the same ones, life would be incredibly boring. The fun thing about doing carousel ponies as well is that obviously because carousel horses were very artistic in their design, I don't really even need to use references to do this because as long as it kind of looks like a horse, there is so much artistic license that you can take with how a carousel horse looks. So it's kind of like a project that I can just have fun with without having to worry about realism or anything. And I really like getting a project like that because I think it's good for me. My perfectionism is off the charts, generally speaking. Yes, exactly, Lego. You are amazing at Lego. I love seeing the Lego creations that you put together in the Discord. Yes, my perfectionism is terrible. And that's something I'm really trying to get rid of, I suppose you could say, because I fret so much about things being perfect or completely realistic that I don't have fun with it. And if I'm not having fun with it, then I probably shouldn't be doing it. So, yeah, that's something I've been working on a lot this year. Body shots, welcome. Oh, it's lovely to see you. Enjoy your morning coffee. so weird trying to wrap my head around time zones sometimes. It's like it's evening for me and it's morning for someone else somewhere, and that is pretty crazy to think about, really. Haven't even thought about what I'm having for tea yet. Obviously, we know what I would like for tea, but I think I had my quota last night, so woe is me, tragedy, I have to think of something else for tonight. You want 200 packets of lemon puffs that you have on tea. That I should do a live stream. Yes, you should. Everybody should do a live stream. Everybody gets to share what they're passionate about. That sounds brilliant. Husbandly duties fulfilled. I miss coffee sometimes. It's one of my favourite drinks, but my heart does not agree with me on that count, so I cannot have it currently. So I have to content myself with tea. Good old English tea, which I drink a disturbing amount of, I will admit. Should probably cut down on that too, to be entirely honest, but I refuse. Right. Leave that to dry for a little bit. I think that is getting somewhere. Obviously the front legs need elbows putting back on. This one has a bit more of one, but I have to do that when the clay is hardened a bit more, otherwise it is going to smush what I just worked on, so let's pop them down. Some more is not going to get smushed. Stablemates are so bad at standing up, I swear. Welcome back, Gamer Mama. I didn't miss much. I was just sculpting some leg bases onto this carousel horse with epoxy. I see a lot of carousel horses that have like real tails that used to like stream out behind them on the carousel, and I can't decide whether to do that with this guy or whether to sculpt a tail on him. So if you guys have any opinions on that, let me know, because I am very indecisive on that count. No worries, seriously, do that. I'm going to get some more tail base down on this stablemate. This is one of the ones that I did work on a few years ago. As you can see, the clay I used is a different colour. This was milliput. which again is a type of two-part epoxy clay, but it's a lot cheaper than epoxy sculpt. And I stopped using it a few years ago now, and my main reason for doing that was the drying time. Because epoxy clays dry chemically rather than like by being baked or air drying, they have a limited work time. This that I'm working with now has already begun to harden, which is why I'm using up what's left of this batch to make more of a tail base for this guy, because it's already reached a point I can't really put details into it anymore. Make a challenge video, like how many can you eat in 30 minutes or something. Yeah, I would absolutely watch that. Epoxy sculpt has a 45-minute work time, approximately, which does fluctuate a bit, kind of depending on room temperature. I've noticed if it's colder, I can work with it for longer than if the air is warm. So I don't know whether heat sort of hastens the chemical process or something. I'm not entirely sure how it all works. But Mithercut only had a 14-minute work time. 14 minutes might sound like a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, when you have to take into account that at least 3 minutes of that get taken up by mixing it in the first place, and then at the 10-minute mark it's already begun to harden, I wasn't able to work with it for long enough to actually put any detail into it or anything, so I eventually quit using it. I switched to epoxy instead, and it's a decision I have never regretted. I absolutely love this stuff. Especially because it doesn't need to be baked. When I originally started customizing, I tried using polymer clay, which was not a good idea because polymer clay has to be baked. And I'm sure I don't need to explain to you what would happen if you baked a plastic pony. You no longer have a plastic pony. So yes, I had to rethink that one rather quickly, to say the least. To put a stream with the competition. Didn't they used to have competitions like that in real life? I'm sure I've read in some kind of history book somewhere that some country had like an annual who can eat the most pie competition, and whoever won it didn't have to pay for the pies or something. I'm sure I've read that somewhere. I could be completely wrong, but Australia has that one. Who can eat the most pies in one city? Yeah, see, I knew some country did it. I mean, it sounds absolutely revolting, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, I can't really say that because if it was a who can eat the most potatoes competition, I would probably be the annual champion, let's be honest. Welcome back, Cirrus. PC all working again? I'm not streaming on phone, I'm streaming on my laptop, and my laptop, even though I'm using a webcam, for some reason it's displaying with my laptop's pixel quality, which isn't great, to say the least. I have looked to see if my settings can be changed, but I don't seem to be able to. So that's something I'm going to have a look at for the next stream. Try and figure out why that's happening and if I can fix it. Yeah, no, I'm not going to try doing anything to it right now. I would probably mess up the entire stream or something if I did that. Yeah. No, it's just something that I will be having a look at for before I do my next one. An equal part of the fabrics and embroidery. I do, yes. I've been working on drawing up a few different designs for them. A couple of them are going to make absolutely gorgeous bucket bags, I can tell you that straight off. Got some lovely purse designs in mind for some of them as well. Been thinking about switching from Etsy lately to possibly a privately owned website instead. Only because I don't really agree with Etsy's policies anymore, or the way that they're treating their sellers. So I might not be listing anything else on there for a little while until I figure out where I want to go with that. I don't think that's working as a shape, so let's start again. My clay has reached a point where it's not going to blend very well anymore. And my leg has skidded off again. Let's put that straight. Hey Grace. Yay, back to painting. What are you working on tonight? The base horse made from? The base horse is plastic on this guy. He was originally by a brand called Mojo, which is kind of like Shrike and Collect. They're another model horse company that make plastic models. But I cut the legs and head off and the tail, and I put wires in to make my own legs with. The modeling compound I'm using is epoxy sculpt, which is a two-part chemically hardening modeling compound. It's used for a lot of things. It's made for modeling primarily, but people use it even to like mend sinks and baths with. It's that good. So It dries like cement, and it can be drilled, sanded, and carved like wood as well when it's hard, which just makes it a really versatile modeling compound. I absolutely love this stuff. Based on Kevin's lifestyle. 2 Przewalski paints 3 horses for Lily, for Amy, sorry, a Shetland, and a small wizard boy. I love wizard boy. Oh, Przewalskis. So you've got more of those going. I love Przewalskis. Przewalski. I can never remember how to pronounce that. I know it. You don't say it the way it looks, and that always confuses me. Because I remember for my first YouTube video, I didn't know how to say. I'm fairly sure it's Przewalski. I couldn't figure out how to say it, so I looked it up on Google, and I was like chanting it to myself for 10 minutes before I did the voiceover for my first video so that I would get it right. Right, so I'm going to do with my leftover epoxy what I do with all my leftover epoxy, which is make some miniature apples for model horses. And it's a very good way to use up leftover modeling compound while creating something super cute that I can actually use for models later. Shiny red dun in a chestnut Toblerone. Oh, that sounds amazing. I love a Toblerone. Red duns are gorgeous too, but chestnut is amazing. I don't do enough chestnuts, to be honest. I think I've kind of got carried away lately in dun colours. Probably because dun will always be my favourite horse colour, I'm not going to lie. Yep, no leftover stuff. Because, I mean, epoxy sculpt is not cheap, to say the least. Like, really, really not cheap. So I absolutely do not like wasting any of it. So I try to make sure that every last bit of it gets turned into something. What it gets turned into very much depends on how much it's hardened by the time I've finished sculpting whatever I'm sculpting. So apples is my go-to if it's like really stiff and I can't really put any details into it anymore. I've got something on that one, never mind, I can sand that later. If it's still a bit more malleable, I tend to turn it into, what are they called? Texture stamps for when I do my dinosaurs. Because dinosaurs have like reptilian coat textures, which is really hard to replicate with like just a tool like this. Got one over here that I'm going to show you if I can get it without destroying my webcam connection. You're not able to see this very well, but I made this earlier from some leftover epoxy, and basically I use my modeling tool to press a load of different size dents into the top, and then when I have a dinosaur that I want to do texture on, then I can use that to create variable textures over the surface of my dinosaur. So I've made a few of these out of leftover epoxy now. Do I also use epoxy to make tack or leather for that? I use leather. I've sometimes made saddle trees out of epoxy, but it tends to be a bit bulky, especially for like collecte scale. So for the collecte scale, I use stiff plastic to make the saddle tree base, and then I use leather over the top of that. I use a very thin leather. Take these off because I'm done sculpting for now. I think I have some of those here. Actually, I do. I have some saddlebags that I'm working on at the moment. So this is the thickness of leather that I use for model tack making. This currently that I'm working on is going to be a Briar Classic set. So yeah, at the moment I don't have very many colours because it's very difficult to find leather that's thin enough for model horse tack. And obviously it takes a while to make because I hand sew everything. I don't think I currently have... No, I don't have any classic or traditional wires down here at the moment, but classics and traditionals are a lot bigger. Oh, you're welcome. They're a lot bigger than Collecte and Schleich, so obviously I can use clay to make bases for their tack. Saddle trees I tend to make out of epoxy for them. And I'm also working on making stirrups out of epoxy, because Western stirrups are quite, what's the word I'm looking for? They're quite thick and ornate compared to British stirrups, which are obviously just like little horseshoes with a bar across the bottom, to be entirely honest. So I'm working on like sculpting some out of epoxy so that I can sculpt that decoration into them. Yeah, the Catalan. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing when this stream is over. Getting a nice cup of tea and my tea. This is a crucial stream cat. Once you've sculpted the sound and camera out, I reckon this will be really popular. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm probably going to do some private streams with one of my friends or maybe my cousin and try and figure out what I can do to improve the sound and camera quality. Because I am not... I am obviously not going to try messing around with it during the stream because that will probably just end up doing something atrocious. But I think I'm going to call this one here for now because I'm getting very hungry and I think I'm going to go and get my dinner. So I will do some more playing around with the camera and everything during the week, and hopefully I will be able to go live again next Monday with some improved quality. Don't know how Bimble do it, but they came home with a hair. Bloody hell. Luckily we don't manage to get up the board, at least the cat's like, my goodness. I'm like, can you imagine just like walking into your living room and they're just sat there with a dead hair on the sofa? My goodness. Thanks for the stream. Oh, you're welcome, Gamer Mother. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Need some help with the cat. Yes, thank you, Patmos. To be honest, I could probably really use a bit of a hand with figuring all of this out, so I would really appreciate that, honestly. But yeah, thank you everybody for being here. I've really enjoyed it. You've all been absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for the next one. So thank you, Cirrus. Yeah, me too. I'll definitely be getting to work on some of that soon as well. Got to finish a few commission pieces in the studio before I really have time to focus on personal pieces and all of that stuff and things again. But yeah, so I will hopefully see you all again next week. So that is bye for now. Thank you, Patmos. Yeah, I will do that. Bye.